Most buyers are totally fine, but every once in a while you run into a super crazy one, and I sleep so much better at night after having done this. Hey, welcome back to my weekly show where I talk about the ups and downs and in-betweens of selling on eBay. I'd like to issue a formal apology to all of you pineapple pizza lovers out there. I didn't mean to offend you. I actually don't mind pineapple pizza that much. In fact, my brother, whose birthday it is today, so wish him a happy birthday, he loves pineapple pizza. And I won't turn down pineapple pizza, but I'm definitely not going to pick it as my first choice. All right, let's jump into some viewer questions. JF Gibson asks, I know it doesn't make sense, but it almost seems like the more items I list, the slower my sales get. Is it possible that when you pass a certain number of listings that eBay moves your selling account into some sort of bracket that has you competing with a larger pool of sellers? I'm really glad that you asked this question. I've had this sort of brewing around in my head for a long time, and I haven't really sat down and done the math or the research to confirm some of my suspicions, but I have some suspicions that there's something like that related to the eBay algorithm of what you're talking about, where the way I think about it is that eBay sort of places every seller into a particular bracket, and that bracket sort of determines how much you're going to sell, whether how many items you're going to sell or how much money you're going to sell in any given time period. And the reason I think this, the biggest reason, the biggest signal that I get that tells me something like this happens, and y'all probably have this happen as well, is that if you have a day, a really big day that goes well above what you normally sell, let's say on average you sell between $50 and $100 in gross sales per day, but maybe you have a $600 item that's up for sale and then you sell that thing. What I find when that happens is that for the next day and even the next 2 or 3 days, sometimes my sales are significantly lower. It's almost like because I got that sale, it pushed me out of what eBay is expecting me to sell and what is eBay is going to give me in sales. And so it sort of pulls back a little bit in the following days to even me out again. And so again, I have no evidence of this directly. This is purely anecdotal. I think I could get some evidence because I've been tracking my data for a long time. I just have never gone and done the work to see if this is actually a repeatable thing. But I just noticed if I have a big day of sales, the next day is going to be smaller than it typically is. And so that suggests just something is going on. There's some other mechanism that is helping eBay decide whether or not to prioritize my listings in search and give me sales. Let me know in the comments, have you all experienced this as well, where you have a big day of sales and then the next day or even couple of days is much lower? Would love to hear your thoughts. Sewing Secondhand says, hi Justin, thanks for the videos, have learned so much. You're welcome. My question is, do you have evidence that buyers don't read the description? Thanks for the question. I'm guessing you're referring to a previous video where I talked about how nobody reads the descriptions, so I don't bother putting detailed descriptions in there or laying out crazy policies or anything like that. And no, I don't have any sort of hard evidence whether buyers actually read that or not. If you have a way to measure that type of thing, let me know. I don't know how it could be measured, but I do have a lot of anecdotal evidence that suggests that most buyers don't actually read the description. The first is just how many questions you get from buyers that the answer to their question is laid out, not even in the description, but in the title. So if they're not reading the title, they're definitely not reading the description or the item details. So that's one bit of anecdotal evidence that I have. The second is if you look at the eBay app, the eBay mobile app, you'll notice that eBay has deprioritized the description in that experience. It's actually really hard to find the description. They don't actually lay the description out or show it. You have to click a tiny link to actually see the description. So that suggests to me that it's not a very important piece of data for eBay. They don't put a lot of priority on the description on the mobile app. And at least half, if not more, of sales on eBay come from their mobile app, not a desktop browser. So it's just not a piece of information that eBay even considers that important. Therefore, I don't consider important. All right, let's get into my sales for the weekend. As a reminder, I'll be answering other viewer questions sprinkled throughout these top 10 sales. And if you have any questions for me, just ask them in the comment section below and I will answer them in a future video. Looks like over the last 7 days, I had a ROI of 912% and a net profit margin of 46%. Had $706 in gross income and a net income of only $413. Pretty slow week for me. We are in the middle of the summer. This is a generally slower time on eBay, so it's not surprising to see these lower sales. But $413 of net income for the week, still not too bad. I'll take it. Looks like I had 41 new listings and only 22 sales. Y'all hear me talk about typically how I sell one-to-one on my store. So as many items as I list per week, I tend to sell that amount. And if I do less than that, that typically means for me that it's a slower week on eBay. If I do more than that, it typically means it's a better week for me on eBay. And if it's 1-to-1, it's about an average week. And so this was definitely a lower week for me. I listed a lot of good inventory, 41 new listings, 35 is my goal. And so I went above and beyond my goal again this week, patting myself on the back, but only 22 sales. And so eBay's been a little bit slow. Has it been slow for you as well? The average time to sell was 3 months, which just means that of the stuff that did sell over the last week, the age from time to list to time to sell on average was 3 months. And I spent a total of $265 on new inventory over the past 7 days. Kathy Beck asks, you always show the shipping fee as a cost to you. Are you paying for shipping on every sale you make? Hi, Kathy. Yes, I am paying for shipping on every sale that I make. You may be referring to what you see in the background on Flipwise, which is Flipwise is going to consider the total revenue from a sale is the sale price plus the cost paid by the buyer to ship it. So if you sold something for $100 and the buyer paid $15 to ship it, your total revenue on the sale is $115. And so you get that total amount from eBay as your total revenue, in this case, $115, and it's up to you then to ship it. And so shipping is always a cost to the seller. Unless you have a way to get to ship things for free, it's always going to be a cost. That can be a different amount than what the buyer pays to ship it. And so if you offer free shipping, that means the buyer paid nothing to ship it. If you have a flat rate $15, that means the buyer paid $15. If you have calculated shipping, that means the buyer is going to pay to ship exactly how much you're going to pay to ship it. But you as a seller always have a cost to ship no matter what, unless you have some sort of secret deal where you don't have to pay for shipping. Coming in at number 10 is this heavy metal brass Pog slammer from the 90s. Did y'all play with Pogs in the 90s? I did, although I don't remember anything about it other than I remember the little cardboard discs and the heavier metal things, these slammers right here, but I have no idea how to play. I have zero memory on actually how to play, though I did play it a lot. This thing was really fun to find at a Salvation Army almost a year ago. It sold for $24.44 and a net return of $13.03 for the 10th best flip of the week. This came in a bag of a bunch of different these metal Pog slammers. I think I paid about $10 for the bag for about 10 of them, and I think this is the last one to sell. You don't really find these Pog slammers very often, but it was a fun blast from the past for me. Coming in at number 9 is this Keurig K-Duo water reservoir. This is just a replacement part for a coffee maker that I bought from a Salvation Army, or where was it? It was a Savers. Looks like I paid $3 for this. This is just parted out though. The coffee maker did not end up working, which is fine for me. I always buy these coffee makers like this or food processors or other kitchen gadgets like this. And I don't mind buying them even if they don't work because I can just part them out into different pieces. So I think I got 3 different pieces out of this one. This was a water reservoir. I also got the carafe and I think a little bottom piece where maybe the water drips down into. This one sold for $28.98 for the 9th best flip of the week. That's a $13.07 net return. And yeah, not a bad sale for just a piece coming off of a coffee maker. Wubney asks, I've been reselling on eBay part-time since 2018. I'm a mechanic by trade and sell a lot of car parts. I'm in a strange position where I get new OEM dealer parts that don't really have a proof of sale on eBay. They sell everywhere else, so I've been putting them a little below market with 3% promotions with quality pictures and information. I normally profit within the first month of my buys, then the not as popular items sell eventually, even if it's years. Do you have any recommendations on increasing sell-through rate? Thanks for all your feedback. Good question. So yeah, in this scenario, it can be kind of hard to understand the market value of things if you're selling things that don't exist on eBay. And so I think what you're doing is right. These things have, if they're available on other marketplaces outside of eBay, you can use that to get a sense of what the value is. And then yeah, price it on eBay around there, maybe a little bit lower, and be prepared to wait. Because if there's really no market for it on eBay, that typically means that people aren't going to eBay to look for that particular type of thing. And so it may just take time for the right buyer to come along and realize that this thing is available on eBay. Also, car parts are just very specific. You know, there's millions of car parts out there, and just finding the right buyer for these things can often take a long time. But the thing I'll address here is what you say about sell-through rate, which is any recommendations on increasing sell-through rate. And that's not really the best way to think about it. Sell-through rate is not something that you have control over as a seller. Sell-through rate is more of a signal to you as the seller to let you know how long something is going to take to sell. You can't really modify it. It's just a reflection of a item's supply supply versus its demand. And every item has a supply, meaning how many of these things are available for sale. And it also has a demand on eBay, meaning how many of these things have sold. But you can't really influence that. You can't create buyers out of nowhere. The only way to really create buyers or create demand when there is none is to lower the price so low that you sort of create artificial demand because it's so cheap. And usually that's only going to be other resellers who see it and think, oh, I can maybe flip this for more money, which you can do. But that's really the only way to increase demand or change the sell-through rate for something, is to really lower the value, probably lower than you want to go. So yeah, I would just be prepared to sit and wait for a little while. These things probably just take a long time to sell. And if you don't care, that's the best way to do it. But there's really no way to change the sell-through rate directly. Coming in at number 8 is this thermostat. I just bought this at a garage sale 2 days ago. What did I pay for that? I paid $3 for it. It sold in 2 days for $26.98 and a net return of $13.56. There was only one other of these listed. None had sold. So I wasn't quite sure how to price it. And the other one was priced at $50. And I figured, oh, I only paid $3 for it, so I'm going to price it low at $19.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. And it sold very quickly. I was not expecting it to sell this quickly. Not really sure why. This didn't seem to be a very popular brand. This was obviously a very old, outdated thermostat, but I guess, $26 for a brand new thermostat for somebody makes sense. So happy to get it out the door. Coming in at number 7 is yet another replacement piece. This one is from a Cuisinart food processor, a DLC5. This is the clear lid cover. Bought it at a Savers. I gave $3 of a cost of goods to this. In reality, probably paid around $10 for all the pieces, and I'm just parting these out. This one went for $31.98 and came in at a net return of $16.34 for the 8th best flip of the week. On these Cuisinart food processors, I always donate the blades back. I never try to sell them. The only time I've ever had my eBay account suspended was because I sold a Cuisinart blade that had been recalled. And so I just don't sell any of the Cuisinart blades at all. I stay away from them completely, even if they aren't the recalled ones. And it's not worth the few bucks that I would get selling a blade to potentially get my account suspended again. So I stay away from them. Be careful out there. Ryan asks, I've sold 5 items in the last week and none of the buyers have left feedback. Can I contact them and ask if the product is okay and encourage them to leave positive feedback or not? Good question, Ryan. Should you reach out to your buyers and ask them to leave feedback? First, I'll say the number of people that leave feedback on eBay is very low. I would say less than 10%. And so don't expect to get a lot of feedback when you sell stuff on eBay. Expect less than 10% of your sales to result in any type of feedback. Personally, I consider no feedback to be a positive thing. So I do not recommend that you reach out to your buyers asking them to leave positive feedback. One, most buyers just don't care and would probably find it annoying, or they would just ignore it. And second, I don't want to present an opportunity for a buyer to have a problem with something I just sold them and give them and remind them or encourage them to leave feedback, perhaps negative, or open up a return. And so again, I would just consider no feedback to be a positive thing and just trust that the more things that you sell, the more feedback you'll get, but expect about 10% or less. Coming in at number 6 is this super cool Roper Western shirt. This thing I got in a garage sale for $2 and took 5 days to sell only for $36.98. This was just on a rack of clothing. I knew it was going to be good. It was the only piece of good clothing on the entire rack, but anything with just sort of kind of wild design tends to do pretty well. If this was a Roper shirt that was just black, I wouldn't have bought it, but on top it has this sort of sunset look to it. It has some cowboys, lassoing some stuff. And I just knew somebody was going to like this. It has this sort of 90s retro feel to it. And yeah, I made $24.95 on it for the 6th best flip of the week. Coming in at number 5 is this lot of 3 Under Armour pants. These are youth sizes. I got these at a garage sale for $3 a piece, so $9 total. I would not have bought these had they not been the exact same size. So I knew that I could lot these together. Individually, it probably wouldn't have been worth reselling them. But the fact that there was 3, they were only $3 a piece. I thought it was going to be a pretty good deal. It took 9 days to sell for a total of $48.35. That's $41.36 plus $6.99, and a net return of $25.45 for the 5th best flip of the week. Jay Lorza asks, let's say you stumbled upon a vintage Nirvana t-shirt and sell it for $2,500. How would you go about shipping it? Seems like Ground Advantage would not be the way to go. Yeah, I would not recommend shipping a $2,500 item like that through Ground Advantage. I would definitely recommend packing it very well. So just because it's a piece of clothing, you could put it in a poly bag and mail it that way. I would definitely put it in a poly bag just to protect it from any sort of elements like moisture, but then put it in a box, mail it in an actual box. Definitely don't use Ground Advantage. I would use, in the very least, priority shipping. I would pay for extra insurance on top of the insurance that already comes with priority shipping. And then I would definitely require a signature. And so I think on eBay, anything above $600 or something like that, I can't remember the threshold, but anything above a certain amount, and $2,500 is definitely above that threshold. eBay is going to require that you require a signature on the delivery, so you definitely want to do that. You could also consider a specialty shipping service, and so I think both FedEx and UPS and maybe other ones have specialty services for very expensive items that I don't know exactly what they provide. Those things exist. You should do some research on that too. If this were me, I would probably ship it priority. I would box it. I would buy extra insurance, and I would require a signature on delivery. Coming in at number 4 is this Merrill backpack, a 20-liter backpack. This might be a record for the least number of characters used in a title. I'm not sure why I didn't put more stuff in the title here. I probably just sold similar and forgot to go back and add some keywords to that title. I do recommend that you fill up as much space as you can. I think I got a question about this recently, but I didn't pull it up here. But yeah, I would recommend filling up as many of the available characters in your title as possible, because it probably is the most high impact way to get the most important keywords for your listing in front of buyers, is to throw them into the title here. So I probably would have put hiking in here, travel, I would have put a bunch of other keywords in here to fill up that space. But anyway, it took 2 months to sell for $41.48, a net return of $25.99. I got this at an estate sale for $2, and it's the fourth best flip of the week. Coming in at number 3 is this mechanical wooden model from U-Gears. I bought this at a garage sale for only $3. It took 14 days to sell for $49.98. That's $39.99 plus $9.99 in shipping, with a net return of $34.58. This thing is really intricate, had a lot of very small pieces. I'd never heard of U-Gears before, but at $3, I was like, this has got to be worth at least more than $3. I didn't even look it up. I got it home, and yeah, it was worth about $50, which is pretty great, and I made $34.58 on it, so pretty good sale there. Nightmare Reader asks, I noticed that my personal mailing address is displayed as the return address on my packages. Is there a way to change that? Should you change that? Does it matter? Yeah, it's a really good question. When you print out a label to ship your package off to someone else, you'll notice that your home address and your name is on that label. Also, when you get a return and you have to send out a return label that gets sent back to your house, so your buyer has your home address. And I would definitely recommend changing that, because most buyers on eBay are totally fine. You're not going to have any issues whatsoever. But some buyers can be pretty unhinged. Every once in a while, you'll just get a super crazy buyer that you can tell that something is not right with this person. And I sleep so much better at night knowing that this person doesn't have my home address. And so there's a couple ways that you can do this. One, you can definitely just change the address, but it needs to be a valid address. If you send the package out and it doesn't get delivered, it's going to get automatically returned to you. You want that to come back to you. Or if you get a return, you need to actually get that package back. And so you need to change it to an actual address. What I do is I registered for an LLC, and I'm not going to get into all the details of how to do that or why to do that or what the benefits are. But one of the benefits is that you can use that instead of your name on eBay so that people don't know what your name is. Also, when you register the LLC, you can go through a registered agent and use their address instead of your own. So even if someone were to try to find your home address from your LLC, they wouldn't be able to. They would only be able to find the registered agent's address. If you want to be extra careful, register for an LLC using a registered agent so that you don't have your home address tied to the LLC. And then I would recommend either one of two things, is getting a PO box at the post office. It costs about $50 a quarter, but it depends on the size that you get. That's what I do. I have a PO box. I have the smallest size available. If you get packages delivered, that doesn't mean they have to fit into that PO box. So don't worry about that. So you don't really need to get one of the larger ones unless you think you're going to get a ton of mail. But I get the smallest one, or you can go to somewhere like the UPS store. If you want an address that's not a PO box, but you can still get stuff mailed to it, you can do that through UPS. It is a little bit more expensive. I think it depends on where you live. Around here, they cost anywhere between $25 and $35 per month. And typically, if you sign up for a year, they'll give you like 1 or 2 months off. So it ends up being close to the cost of a P.O. box, but a little bit more expensive. But could be beneficial if you don't actually want a P.O. box or if there's a UPS store that's closer to you. And then you change your address through the eBay settings, both your ship from address and your return address to be that P.O. box or the UPS store address, along with your LLC name. And that way, when you send out your packages or you get returns, the buyers have no idea who you are. They don't know what your name is. They don't know what your home address is. And again, this is a little overkill. You don't have to do this type of thing. But if you want to be extra careful, if you want to treat this like a real business, if you just want to completely detach your personal life from your business, that's the way to do it. That's what I do. I definitely recommend that you do it if you start to sell a lot of stuff on eBay. That way, if you do get a particularly unhinged buyer, you just don't run any risk that they're going to know where you live. And so definitely recommend it. Coming in at number 2 is this vintage Los Angeles Dodgers t-shirt from 1988. You'll see it looks very wrinkled. That's because it was folded up into its plastic since the time it was manufactured. This was brand new, still had the tags on it. So I took it out of that plastic so I could take good photos of it. And yeah, this was a really cool find. It sold for $69.98 and a net return of $54.72 for the second best flip of the week. Not often did I sell a t-shirt for this amount. I got this one actually at a bulk buy. So this was another reseller that reached out to me who was getting out of the business and wanted to see if I would buy their inventory, which I did. And I'll show you here. It's pretty cool. Like I just create in Flipwise, I just create a custom purchase location for any direct buys that I do or any bulk buys that I do. And so this is a purchase location that I call Direct J. And it tracks the total amount of money that I've spent on it and my total gross income and my net income. So I can tell over time whether this bulk buy was worth it for me. So I've sold 9 things, it looks like, from this bulk buy with 39 things left. And my net return is already $75. So I'm already making money on this. And so the 39 remaining things that I'm selling here are all going to be profit. That leaves us with number 1, this antique stoneware chicken poultry feeder. This thing, I got it in another bulk buy almost a year ago. $92.48 it sold for. The net return for the best flip of the week of $67.56. It took me a while to even figure out what this thing was. I think I used Google Lens on it before I was able to figure out it was a chicken feeder or a chicken waterer. It's supposed to sit in a plate on the bottom and slowly let water out. I guess like an old antique version of one of those like cat or dog water bottle feeder things. So I think it's similar in concept, but just an old one. And I was shocked to know that they went for this amount of money. So best flip of the week, took a long time, only took $10.54 to ship it, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, best flip of the week is this chicken poultry waterer from Pittsburgh Pottery. Keep an eye out for those. All right, let's take a look at my worst sales of the week. We're going to hop over into shipped here and we're going to filter by last 7 days. And let's take a look at the net return in reverse. Well, it looks like I lost some money on a comic book. I apparently paid $5 for it and it sold for $8.09 and I lost $2.47. My guess is this was a part of a bulk buy. I don't really know. I wouldn't have bought a single comic for $5 without looking it up. So not really sure what happened here. It was over a year ago. I just don't remember what was going on with it. Looks like I also got a John Deere tractor toy here for $3 and it sold for $11.99. I made 90 cents on the deal. A lot of these are coming from bulk buys that I made that had a couple of very expensive things in it, and I might as well list the non-expensive things as well, but you know, they're only bringing in a couple dollars. Like this one here, I bought a bunch of Hot Wheels. This one was a red line Hot Wheel, not in very good condition. It only sold for $14.99. And by the way, red lines, that means the red line around the tire there on a Hot Wheel. Those are typically higher value Hot Wheels, the ones that have the red line on the tire. So keep an eye out for those. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you missed last week's episode, click here to watch it now. If you like these videos, I do them every week, so hit that subscribe button and join me next Monday. Thanks and see you soon.